Oh my gosh, you're bored? Well, you know what I always say, when you're bored, do a Bohr model. Oh, you don't remember how to do a Bohr model? Okay, well, let's look at this thing. Draw a Bohr model of chlorine. Now I add extra to mine. You know what? It's just like if you're making something like special, like a cake, you can have just a plain cake, or you can really decorate it up. I like to decorate mine up, make it look nice. All right, so we're going to do a Bohr model here. So you draw a Bohr model of chlorine. We're going to include the protons, the neutrons, the electrons. You know what we're also going to include in there? I don't have one here. We're going to include the mass. All right, and that way it'll be easier for us. We're going to put all these shells on here. We're going to put them in the right spots. All right, now we're obviously not going to draw chlorine because that's what's on this paper. So let's flip back through my files. And I was thinking we can do germanium. Right? Mr. Geranium, number 30. Oh, my goodness. Let's back that off a little bit. What do you think about that size right there? Is that good? So let's do germanium. It's still pretty big there. Okay, so we'll do germanium. It's right there, number 32. Now I'm picking germanium because it's beyond the D block, and that is always more exciting when we go past the D block. Okay, now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the nucleus. And I add some extra on here. Not every Bohr model has you do it this way, but I like my Bohr models to have this on there. So I'm going to start off with the mass. So my mass, and then I'm going to find my protons, and then I'm going to find my neutrons. All right, now the reason I'm putting in that order is because that's the way I like to subtract. Now I'm rounding everything to the ones place, so keep that in mind. That's why I'm my numbers here. So first of all, let's look at germanium's block square here. Okay, the mass is the big number, remember? So that's going to be 73. So put a 73 right here by the mass. Done. Protons. Protons are the small number, so that's 32. Get out your abacus because we have to do some math here. We have to subtract this. That looks right? Yep, okay. Then there we go. The mass is 73, the protons are 32, and then we subtract those two and we get 41. That's the nucleus. Now you can surround that in a nice little nucleus. I know some of you guys will really decorate this thing up and it'll look beautiful. Others will might slop it together, but it'll still be fine, right? Oh my gosh. Look at that. That is pretty. Okay, so we have that. Now, we have to put the shells on. So that's not my shell. That purple's not my shell. I just got a little fancy. You didn't have to draw that even. Remember how we find our shells? Let's do the shells in, oh my gosh, nice green color here. And the shells are down. Remember, there's one shell, there's two shells, there's three shells. And looky there, number 4. There's going to be 4 shells. We need 4 shells. Let's draw them. Now this thing, sometimes when I draw, when you say I'm going to run out of room, you know what? I'm just going to draw right over the table. There's 2. There's 3. And, uh-oh. And there's 4. Okay, so I got my 4 shells. All right, so we have that done. Now we're going to count. All right, so we count across the first shell. What are you thinking? What color? Ooh, look at that. It's like a weird blue color. Okay, so we're going to count across. So the first shell. 1, 2. So the first shell has 2 dots. Does that show up enough? Okay, now, sometimes I don't draw dots. Don't tell people. Sometimes I just write the number. Oops, I pushed the button on the bottom. Sometimes I just put the number 2 there, like 2E. All right, so sometimes I do that. You guys know that. Don't tell anybody else. All right, we won't do that today, though. Okay, so the second one, second shell. We have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5, we have 6, we have 7, we have 8. Oh, who would have thought? Now, when we put those 8 on there, I like to put my 8 on like I do when I do electron dot. 1 on each side, and then I start to double up. You know, you can put them any way you want, but that's the cool way. That's how the cool kids are doing it. So, there you go. Row 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now that's row 3 so far. Oops. Well, did I miss a dot there before? I sure did. Okay, so we have 1, 2. I'm distracted by messages, right? How are you supposed to make speed videos if you keep getting messages? Okay, now we're to row 4. Okay, now this is where we do the first 2 here. So these first 2, that's 1, 2. Right? So there's going to be 2 in row 4. Oops, I'm not going to put it there because it makes it do something weird. We're going to put it 2, I'll put one right here, and I'll put the other one, I'll put it close to that spot. How about I put it over here? Over there. So I have 2. Sorry about the placement of this thing. Okay, so there's 2 there. Now, why didn't I go through here? Because these are not row 4. These are row 3, right? The D block is displaced by 1 spot. So this is back into 3. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more into row 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 10 more into row 3. Okay, and now I'm back to the P's, and so now I'm back out in column 4. So I'm going to switch back to that pretty color I had before. I think this was it right here. No, it was that other one right here. And now we have 3, 4. I just continued my count. 1, 2, 3, 4 in row 4. So again, it's not letting me put it where I want to put it. So I'm going to put it on the side here. And there's my Bohr model. Now, outer shell wise. Oh, look, I had all that space over here. Mr. Arnold, why don't you just do it this way? Like, so you have row 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's an ugly thing there, but instead of putting all those dots, because you know what? I don't want to count all those dots. Just put the number, put 2, put 8. And remember we had 8 and then 10, then we had 18, and then we had 4. And I would much rather grade something, that's supposed to be a 3 there, that looked like this. And that's just my own personal preference. If you have a teacher in college who does not like this and doesn't want you to do it this way, then you don't. I cannot count here today, huh? So that should say the same numbers inside there. Okay, and you can do that instead, and it's a lot cleaner and a lot prettier. I mean, it doesn't have the fancy nucleus and all, but that will work, okay? So that's it for your Bohr model. Remember, next time you get bored, try the Bohr model.